What if losing everything is actually your greatest advantage? You look around and feel like life has collapsed. You feel empty, invisible, abandoned. But history has a message for you. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, once wrote, "The obstacle is the way. What stands in the way becomes the way." Maybe you didn't lose everything. Maybe life just cleared the noise so you could finally hear your true voice. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." That is the power of rebirth. Even Steve Jobs once admitted that being fired from Apple was the best thing that ever happened to him. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. Sometimes rock bottom is not the end, it's the foundation for a stronger beginning. This video is not about motivation. It's about transformation using Stoic morning habits to rebuild your life from zero and rise stronger than ever. Because when you have nothing to lose, you gain something rare, absolute freedom. And when a human being becomes free from fear, they become impossible to stop. So stay with me until the end. Your new life begins tomorrow morning. Habit 1. Accept the fall. Let me start with a question. What if your rock bottom is not your ending, but your beginning? Breathe in and say it with me. What happened happened. What I do next is what matters. When Marcus Aurelius became Emperor of Rome, he didn't celebrate. He wrote in his journal, "I will face greed, arrogance, betrayal, pain today." He accepted the storm before it arrived. Why? Because acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is preparation. According to a 2023 study from Stanford University, people who practice daily emotional acceptance experience 35% less anxiety and 40% higher clarity in decision-making. You don't need more motivation. You need clarity. But the modern mind keeps asking, why me? Why did this happen to me? Stoicism flips the question, it happened. Now what will you do? Marcus lost 8 of his children. He led a war. He fought a plague that killed 5 million people. Yet he wrote, "The universe is change. Life is opinion." Here's where most people get it wrong. They think acceptance is weakness. But Marcus Aurelius said, "A person's power is not measured by how loudly they speak, but by how peacefully they accept." Take a deep breath with me. Right now, your world may feel broken. Your relationship ended. Your business collapsed. Someone betrayed you. You think you've lost everything. But listen carefully. You have the most valuable thing left, a mind that can rebuild. Psychologists say that after a major failure, your body enters survival mode. Stress rises, heart races. You want to escape, fix everything, or give up. But the Stoic response is different. Do nothing, just observe. Here's your morning practice. Every day write down 3 sentences. What happened, happened. I accept it fully. Now I choose my next step. Don't rush to heal. Don't rush to fix. Just return to control. Because acceptance brings one thing nobody talks about: energy. Energy that used to be wasted fighting the past finally returns to you. Let me give you a real example. In 1998, J.K. Rowling was broke, divorced, raising a child alone. She said, "Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life." Within 5 years, she became the world's first billionaire author. What changed? Magic, luck? No. She stopped resisting her reality and started building from it. Say it with me. I don't need to feel better. I need to become better. According to research from the University of Toronto, people who practice daily acceptance are 50% more likely to bounce back from failure. Not because life became easier, but because they finally stopped lying to themselves. So here's your Stoic drill. Do this tomorrow morning. First, sit in silence for 2 minutes. No phone, no music, just breathe. Then ask, what am I still resisting? Let the answer come. Don't argue with it. Don't judge it. Write it down. Accept it fully. That moment is the beginning of power. Remember, Marcus Aurelius never said life was easy, but he did say, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." You might have fallen, but that doesn't mean you're broken. It means gravity still works. It means you're still alive. And as long as you can breathe, you can rebuild. Say it one last time. What happened, happened. What I do next is what matters. Take a deep breath. Now get ready, because the next habit will train your courage in a way most people ignore. It'll give you a clue. Comfort is the enemy. Habit 2, practice voluntary discomfort. Let me ask you something powerful. Why do lions stay strong while house cats grow weaker every year? It's because one must fight to live and the other drowns in comfort. Say it with me, comfort kills courage. Marcus Aurelius knew this well. Every morning he prepared his mind for the unexpected. He didn't pray for an easy day. Instead, he wrote in his diary, "Today I may face pain, betrayal, conflict, or even death, and I must be ready." That's the essence of Stoicism. Don't wait for the storm train for it before it arrives. The Stoics believed, if you suffer before you need to, you will suffer more than you need to. That's why they practice voluntary discomfort to build inner armor before life forced it on them. Modern life is drowning in comfort. According to Harvard research, the average person spends 93% of their day in physical comfort, climate-controlled rooms, soft chairs, instant food entertainment on demand. But here's the twist: anxiety and depression are now higher than at any point in recorded history. More comfort, more suffering. Why? Because nothing grows in comfort. Muscles grow under tension. Diamonds form under pressure. And your character is forged through discomfort. Here's the secret: it's not about pain. It's about training the mind to act despite pain. When you take a cold shower, when you walk instead of drive, when you train even when you don't feel like it, your brain learns one crucial message: I can suffer and still move forward. This creates mental resilience through something called hormesis-controlled exposure to stress to build strength. Say it with me: I don't escape discomfort. I choose it. No one understood this better than Marcus. He faced wars, betrayal, illness, yet remained calm. Why? Because he practiced discomfort before life forced it on him. He wrote, "If it hurts, observe. Life is trying to teach you something." This mindset didn't make him fearless, it made him prepared. Here's a challenge for your mind. What if your future self 5 years from now doesn't come from comfort, but from deliberate difficulty? Picture that version of you. Strong, calm, disciplined. That person is not built in luxury. That person is built in small daily battles. Let's repeat: comfort does not protect me, it weakens me. Discomfort does not punish me, it transforms me. A study of Navy SEALs revealed that the strongest soldiers aren't the biggest or fastest. They are the ones who say, "I do not rise to the occasion. I fall to the level of my training." That is Stoicism in its purest form. So don't search for an easy life. Search for the strength to carry a difficult one. Bruce Lee, another modern Stoic, once said, "Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one." That is the mindset shift that unlocks everything. Now here's your 24-hour challenge. Tomorrow morning, before any comfort begins, choose one act of voluntary discomfort. A cold shower, push-ups, walk instead of drive, silence instead of scrolling. It doesn't matter what you choose. What matters is that you choose it on purpose. When it gets uncomfortable, don't escape. Don't complain. Just breathe and say, "I choose this." Because that moment is the moment you stop being controlled and start being forged. But listen carefully: discomfort isn't the final test. There's something even more powerful. Something emperors used every morning. It wasn't a weapon, but it shaped their destiny. And that is the power of the morning journal. Let's turn the page. Habit number 3 begins when ink meets paper. Habit 3, morning journal. The Emperor's Method. Let me tell you a secret. The greatest battles you will ever fight happen before breakfast. Not against the world, but inside your own mind. Marcus Aurelius knew this. He ruled an empire of 60 million people, yet every morning he opened his journal and wrote words not for the world to see, but for his own soul to hear. He began most mornings with one simple truth: the things we think determine the quality of our lives. Think about that for a moment. What thoughts are shaping your life today? Here's the problem: most people don't think. They react. They wake up and drown in noise, notifications, emails, problems waiting to be solved before their soul even wakes up. But the Stoics believed if you don't control your morning, you don't control your mind. And if you don't control your mind, the world will control it for you. Take a breath. This moment matters. A study from the University of Rochester discovered that people who begin their day with journaling experience 42% more emotional clarity, 27% better decision-making, and are twice as likely to follow through on their plans. Not because journaling makes life easier, but because it makes life sharper. Marcus Aurelius didn't use journaling for motivation. He used it for alignment. He asked 3 questions every morning, and so will we. Question 1, what do I fear today? This breaks the illusion of control. Fear always exists, but when you name it, it loses power. Question 2, what can I control? This brings your mind back to reality. Focus replaces anxiety. Question 3, what will I do anyway? This is where courage begins. Fear is still present, but action moves forward, and courage is simply action in the presence of fear. This is how emperors planned their battles, not with swords, but with words. Say it with me. The war is not outside. The war begins inside. But maybe you're thinking, am not an emperor. I don't lead armies. Look closely, you do. You lead your life. You command your actions. You direct your future. And if your mind is a kingdom, then journaling is the throne room where decisions are made. So tomorrow morning, before the noise arrives, before your phone wakes up, give yourself 7 minutes. Just 7. And write these words today: I will face fill in the blank. It could be rejection, a deadline, a conversation you fear. Doesn't matter. Name it. Then answer question 2. Here is what I can control. Notice how your breath slows down, your mind shifts from chaos to clarity. And finally, regardless of fear, I will do this anyway. That sentence is the birth of courage. Let's pause for another reset. Take a breath. Deep in and out. A survey of 180 CEOs found that 81% of high-performing leaders journal daily in some form. Go deeper. 67% of Olympians say they begin their training mentally before they even step into the arena. They visualize. They write. They prepare the mind before they demand strength from the body. Marcus Aurelius warned us, you will face difficult people today. You will face envy, arrogance, and greed. But remember, the behavior of others is not your concern. Your response is, he was not journaling to escape reality. He was journaling to shape it. Here's something powerful. The Stoics saw journaling as a rehearsal for life, a mental simulation, a battlefield warm-up. When you write down a fear, your brain prepares for impact. When you write a solution, your brain creates a blueprint. And when you write down your intention, your brain becomes a weapon. Say it with me. The mind is my kingdom. My journal is my throne. Here's your morning drill, and it will change your day. For the next 7 mornings, write 3 sentences. What do I fear today? What can I control? What will I do anyway? That's it. Not a diary, not emotional dumping. Strategic journaling, the way emperors did. Now you might ask, does this really work? Let me give you proof. In 1994, psychologist James Pennebaker conducted a study on people who suffered major personal trauma. Half simply moved on. The other half wrote daily for 15 minutes. After 4 months, the journaling group had stronger immune systems, lower stress levels, and clearer decision-making. They didn't write to feel better. They wrote to become better. Marcus Aurelius never intended his journal meditations to be famous. It was never meant to be published. It was simply a mirror, a conversation with his soul. You are allowed to do the same. No judgment, no perfection, just presence. And here's the most beautiful part: your journal doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be honest. Thoughts become actions, actions become habits. Habits become my destiny. Your destiny starts every morning, not on your phone, not in your inbox, but with a pen and courage and honesty. Now we have prepared your mind, but the world will still test you. And when it does, you must not suffer. Instead, you must train. Habit 4, see problems as training. Let me ask you, what if your struggles are not punishment, but preparation? The Stoics believed something radical: you never truly suffer, you only train. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the mind adapts and converts to its own purposes, the obstacle to our acting. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is the heart of Stoicism, not to run away from difficulty, but to transform it into fuel. But modern life has conditioned us to fear discomfort. We treat problems like viruses, trying to avoid them instead of learning from them. And because of that, we grow weaker, not stronger. Imagine for a moment that every problem you've ever faced was actually a disguised workout for your mind. Notice how that changes the meaning of pain. When you go to the gym, resistance builds muscle. But mentally, when we face resistance, we often collapse. Why? Because nobody told us mental strength also needs training. According to a study from the University of Pennsylvania, people who reframe stress as training rather than threat experience 28% higher performance, 45% better emotional control, and over 60% faster recovery after setbacks. Not because life became easier, but because their mindset shifted from victim to warrior. Say it with me. This is not happening to me. It's happening for me. Marcus Aurelius faced plague war, betrayal, and death. Yet he remained calm. Why? Because he believed that every challenge was a weight added to his barbell. The heavier the weight, the stronger he could become. And that belief kept his spirit alive. But how do we apply this in daily life? Let's make it practical. Tomorrow morning, when a problem hits, before you react, say this phrase: good, this is training. Traffic, training in patience. Rejection, training in self-worth. Failure, training in clarity and resilience. Unexpected problem, training in adaptation. It may sound simple, but this mental shift changes everything. Because now nothing is wasted. Every pain becomes progress. Let me tell you a story. In 1962, a young boxer named Cassius Clay lost one of his early training matches badly. Reporters called him weak. Teammates thought he'd never make it. But he looked in the mirror that night and said, "They don't know who I'm going to become." Years later, the world knew him as Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest fighters to ever live. What changed his belief about problems? He didn't see difficulty as defeat, he saw it as rehearsal. He once said, "I hated every minute of training. But I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." That is Stoicism in action. Now let's apply it to your life. Here's a 7-day Stoic training challenge. Each challenge lasts only a moment, but strengthens you for a lifetime. Day 1, face one task you've been avoiding and do it before anything else. Day 2, when something annoys you, don't react for 60 seconds. Day 3, choose the longer line, slower route, or harder way. Train patience. Day 4, write down every negative thought and respond with logic, not emotion. Day 5, when someone criticizes you, listen without defending yourself. Day 6, end your day by writing, "What did today train me for day 7? Teach someone else one Stoic lesson. Because when you teach, you master. Remember, life doesn't give lessons, it gives repetitions. Every day, every situation, every challenge is training your character, your discipline, your emotional control, your courage. But here's the twist: training only works when done with intention. Stoics didn't just pray for strength. They trained it. They didn't ask for easier days. They built stronger minds. Let's repeat the core truth one last time. Pain is not the enemy. Fear is. Problems are not punishment. They are preparation. Take a deep breath and picture your future self calm, strong, unshaken. That person was not born. That person was trained through days like today, through pressures like this, through storms that used to break you but now build you. Now you see it. You were never suffering. You were training. Life is not your enemy, it is your gym. And every problem is another weight to lift. But wait, before we end, ask yourself one question. If life is training me, then what am I training for? That answer is found in the greatest reminder of all, the ones Stoics never ignore. Memento Mori, remember you will die. And when you remember death, everything else becomes clear. Habit 5, Memento Mori, remember you will die. Let me ask you a question. What would change in your life if you truly believed your time was running out? Not as a dramatic thought, but as a fact. Marcus Aurelius wrote about death 19 times in his journal, not because he was obsessed with dying, but because he wanted to live with absolute clarity. He wrote, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you think, say, and do. Let those words sink in. You could leave life right now. That isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you. Because the truth is, we plan our lives as if we're immortal. We act as if tomorrow is guaranteed. But tomorrow is a rumor. Reset, take a deep breath. Stanford University found that people who regularly reflect on mortality experience 34% less regret, make faster decisions, and value their time 3 times more than the average person. Why? Because nothing sharpens life like the presence of death. But society hides death. We avoid it. We call it dark, morbid, negative. Yet the Stoics believe the opposite: thinking about death is the most life-affirming thing you can do. Marcus wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live for 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while you can become good, say it with me, Memento Mori. Remember, I will die." But don't misunderstand this. It's not about sadness, not about fear. It's about intensity. Because when you truly face death, you stop living on autopilot. You stop delaying your dreams. You stop tolerating the people and habits that drain your soul. You start living deliberately. 45-second reset. Breathe in slowly, breathe out with purpose. Here's a powerful example. In 2005, Steve Jobs stood on a Stanford stage and said, "Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make big decisions." He wasn't being poetic. He was being precise. Because when death becomes real, decisions become clear. But maybe you're thinking, "I don't want to think about death every day." That's okay. You don't need to fear it. You need to use it. Let me tell you a Stoic exercise. It may change your life. Tomorrow morning, look in the mirror and say, "I will die. So today I live." Then ask yourself 3 questions. If today were my last day, would I do what I'm about to do? What have I been delaying out of fear? Who needs to hear words I've never said out loud? Don't answer with your mind. Answer with your heart. Let me share something raw. Psychologists studying near-death survivors found that over 80% reported one profound realization. Nothing matters more than time and who you spend it with. Not status, not money, not approval. Time, connection, purpose. Everything else is dust. Say it with me, reset. Death is not the end. It is the teacher. Imagine a clock above your head, counting down. You don't know how much time is left, but it's moving right now. This very second. How would you live if that were true? Because it is. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." That line is the essence of this habit. Life doesn't start when things get easier. Life begins when you stop waiting. So tomorrow, maybe don't waste your time arguing online. Maybe don't scroll for hours. Maybe don't chase empty admiration. Instead, send a message to someone who matters. Start the project you've been delaying. Ask for help. Offer help. Take the walk. Read the page. Say, "I love you," before it's too late, because one day it will be. Take a breath and repeat after me, "Memento Mori, I will die. So today I live." Now listen, this doesn't end in sadness. This ends in power. Because when death is your advisor, fear loses its voice. And once fear is gone, something amazing happens. You begin to move. You begin to act. You begin to change. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. The Stoics believe that urgency is the highest form of wisdom. And urgency begins when you see death not as an enemy, but as clarity. Marcus Aurelius didn't fear dying. He feared wasting life. So the real question is, what are you wasting and what will you do about it? Because when you truly face death, you finally start living. Take a last breath, Memento Mori. And now, with death as our teacher, we move to habit number 6, the 1% action rule. Because if today matters, then action must follow. Habit 6, the 1% action rule. Let me ask you a powerful question. What if the biggest reason you feel stuck is because you keep waiting for a perfect moment? Stoicism teaches us something radical. You don't need motivation. You need momentum. And momentum starts with just 1% action. Not a perfect plan. Not a huge effort. Just forward motion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, stop planning life and start living it. Reset, take a breath. Thousands of people wait for motivation. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like weather. Stoicism rejects that. It says, do it first, feelings will follow. In 2017, researchers at the University of Chicago studied over 3,000 individuals trying to change their habits. They discovered something revolutionary. People who started with 5 minutes of action a day were 4 times more likely to build a long-term habit than people who waited until they felt ready. 5 minutes. That's all. Not passion, not confidence, just motion. Say it with me, I don't need to be ready. I need to begin. The Stoics believed that small actions repeated daily shape destiny because consistency not intensity, is the real engine of transformation. In the words of Epictetus, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. Let me tell you a story. A struggling guitarist named James had tried for years to learn music, but he always quit after a few days. Then he changed his method. Instead of practicing for an hour a day, he practiced for just 5 minutes every morning, no matter how he felt. A year later, he became the lead guitarist of a touring band. And when asked how he succeeded, he simply said, "Because 5 minutes was small enough that I had no excuse." 45-second reset, take a deep breath. So here's your Stoic training. Tomorrow morning before your phone wakes up, choose one 1% action, something so simple you cannot fail. One push-up, one email you've been avoiding, one page of reading, 1 minute of silence. Tiny actions don't just build results, they build identity. Each day you prove to your brain, I am someone who acts. This is called behavioral momentum. Once motion begins, the mind follows. A 2021 neuroscience study found that dopamine isn't released when you succeed, it's released when you try. Action itself creates motivation. That means every attempt strengthens you. Listen carefully. Your life will not change when you feel better. It will change when you act first. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do what's necessary, then do what's possible." And suddenly you are doing the impossible. That is the 1% rule in action. Say it with me, 1% every day is better than 100% someday. Let's go deeper. Most people underestimate the compounding effect of daily effort. If you improve your life by just 1% per day, you are 37 times stronger after 1 year. That's not theory, it's mathematics. Tiny progress on plus time, transformation. Now take another breath reset. You don't need a miracle. You need a system. You don't need passion. You need direction. You don't need faith in the future. You need movement in the present. Here is your 24-hour Stoic challenge. Tomorrow morning, write one thing you've been avoiding. Break it into the smallest possible step. Do that step immediately. Don't analyze it. Don't negotiate with it. Don't wait for courage. Just act. And when your mind resists, don't fight it. Smile and say just 1%. That's all I need today. Because a small step may not look powerful, but a small step done daily becomes unstoppable. The Stoics never sought speed. They sought consistency. In their eyes, slow progress is still progress. And slow progress is superior to no progress. Think about this. A river cuts through mountains not with force, but with patience. That's how Stoics live. And that could be how you rebuild your life, not all at once, but one day at a time. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning, if it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. This isn't cold wisdom, it's liberating. Because once you stop waiting for perfect conditions, you finally start moving under real ones. Repeat after me, one last reset. I don't need to change everything. I only need to begin something. And when you begin even with 1% effort, life begins to change around you. But now we reach the final test, the highest level of Stoic living. Because at the end of each day, Marcus Aurelius asked himself a question, one question that guided everything he did. That question was not about success or achievement or glory. It was about service. And that leads us to habit number 7, begin the day with service. Because when you serve others, your pain becomes purpose. Habit 7, begin the day with service. Let me tell you a secret. Marcus Aurelius knew the fastest way to heal yourself is to help someone else. He was an emperor of Rome, the most powerful man on earth. Yet every morning he asked just one question. What can I do today for the common good? Not what do I want? Not what do I fear? But what can I give? Listen carefully. Service is not sacrifice. Service is transformation. When you help someone, your pain becomes fuel. Your struggle becomes meaning. Your wounds become wisdom. A study from the University of Michigan found that people who begin their day with an act of service, even a small one, experience over 27% more energy, 34% less anxiety, and are twice as likely to stay consistent with their goals. Why? Because purpose multiplies strength. Marcus Aurelius didn't write about glory. He wrote about duty. He warned us, when you rise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. But modern life has reversed this. We wake up and immediately think of ourselves. our problems, our stress, our worries. And the more we focus solely on ourselves, the heavier life becomes. But life becomes lighter when you lift others. Say it with me, when I serve, I become strong. Let me tell you a story. A soldier returning from war was asked how he survived the trauma of battle. He said, I stopped focusing on staying alive. I focused on keeping others alive. That gave me purpose. Purpose became strength. Strength became survival. That's Stoicism. Not cold, not emotionless, but devoted to something greater than self. Tomorrow morning, before checking your phone, before chasing your goals, ask the question Marcus Aurelius asked every day, who can I help today? Maybe it's a message. Maybe it's advice. Maybe it's listening. Maybe it's a smile. Maybe it's simply patience with someone who doesn't deserve it. That's also a form of service, and one of the hardest. This is not just spiritual, this is scientific. Acts of service release oxytocin, the chemical of connection, and serotonin, the chemical of well-being. But most importantly, they silence the voice of the ego. Because ego screams, I deserve more. But service whispers, I already have enough, now let me give. Stoicism teaches that personal greatness is not built by personal gain, but by daily contribution. That's why Marcus Aurelius wrote, what we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others lives forever. You don't need to fix the world. You only need to begin with one person, and sometimes that person is you. Helping yourself is not selfish. It is preparation. You cannot carry others if you cannot stand on your own feet. So serve wisely, serve meaningfully, and serve daily. Here's your Stoic service drill. 3 steps. Write one name, someone you can help today. Do one act small, silent, sincere. No reward expected. At night, ask yourself, did I leave the world better than I found it this morning? That last question is the weight of your character. But wait, this is not the end. Because Stoicism does not end with lessons. It ends with action. If everything you've heard in this video were just ideas, then it's not Stoicism. It's only philosophy. Stoicism is not meant to be thought about. Stoicism is meant to be lived. You lost everything good. Now you are ready to build something real, a stronger mind, a clearer purpose, a deeper life. Remember this: habit 1, accept the fall. Habit 2, choose discomfort. Habit 3, command your thoughts. Habit 4, treat problems as training. Habit 5, let death be your teacher. Habit 6, start with just 1%. Habit 7, turn your pain into service. This is how you rebuild your life from zero, not with luck, not with waiting, but with daily discipline. And if life knocks you down again, smile, breathe, and repeat these words: the obstacle is the way. I'll leave you with one final quote from Marcus Aurelius. It is not what happens to you that harms you, but your opinion of it. Your power lies in your response. So respond with strength, respond with courage, respond with action. And when you do, you will not just survive life, you will lead it. Take a breath. Your new life begins tomorrow morning. And when you're ready, come back to this channel. We rise together, like Marcus Aurelius, like warriors, like humans fully alive. If this video helped you see your path more clearly, like, share, subscribe, and come back tomorrow morning. Every new day is a chance to start again. We rebuild from the smallest actions, one habit, one breath, one decision at a time. Just as Marcus Aurelius strengthened himself in the midst of an empire in chaos. Remember, losing everything is not the end. It is the beginning of a stronger, calmer, more disciplined version of you. Your new life starts right now. Subscribe to Making Life Better to receive Stoic wisdom every morning and keep your mind steady and focused. And finally, comment one word to mark the moment you rise again: rebuild. Let that word become the reminder you carry into your new chapter.